Coming up on the Cochrane Show, I'm going to talk about 5 trades that should happen, that need to happen at this year's trade deadline. Let's go. Well, the trade deadline is quickly approaching us, and there are rumors everywhere. And, where's Giannis going to go? Is Anthony Davis going to stay in Dallas? There are these big names that are being floated around there. I'm going to talk about some of the big names, and I'm also going to talk about some fun trades. I was on the ESPN Trade Machine. If you've never used that, you just type in ESPN Trade Machine, and it brings up a website that you can go to that shows you the teams, players. It's sort of like playing 2K, making trades on NBA 2K, but you're just doing it on the ESPN website. It tells you if it was successful, how many wins the team would get if they made this trade. Is it like a +3 or like a -13 type situation? So we're going to go through 5 trades that I think should happen in the NBA trade deadline coming up. So let's start. The first trade that I think should happen, we're just going to start right off the brink with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, this is the one that's getting the most press. This is the one that's hanging everything else in the balance. Like, every other trade, I think, is going to be on hold until it's clear whether or not Giannis is available before the trade deadline, or if they're going to hold on to him until the end of the season. So I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. If I'm the Golden State Warriors, I'm calling up Milwaukee Bucks and I'm offering one of 2 packages. I'm either offering Jimmy Butler, who is down with the torn ACL, Jonathan Kuminga, who is still a bit of an unknown commodity, and Brandon Podziemski, who is from the Milwaukee area, plus 4 first-round draft picks in order to get Giannis and Kyle Kuzma. I'm not a huge Kyle Kuzma fan. His best years were in Los Angeles when they were actually contenders. I think he was on that championship team. So maybe him being on a high-level team, high IQ team, I don't know if that's him, but having that pressure, maybe he can rise to it, or he becomes a trade asset in the offseason this year. Now, this trade says this would help the Warriors by 3 wins, and it says it would make the Milwaukee Bucks 13 wins less. So obviously Milwaukee is going to tank mode. However, it doesn't bother them. Like, they don't want to try to be bad because they don't own the rights to their draft pick. I believe Atlanta has it. It's Atlanta or the Pelicans. But I love this for the Golden State Warriors. This sucks for Jimmy Butler. So that's the first opportunity. The second one would be you replace Jimmy Butler with Draymond Green and Moses Moody. So that trade would be Draymond Green, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and again, you've got those 4 first-round draft picks. I think that's what Milwaukee cares about for the same trade of Kuzma and Giannis. That's what I want to see. I think for nostalgic reasons and just I think Draymond Green having another elite defender next to him and knowing that you are now contenders, I think would elevate his game. Could you imagine a backcourt with Draymond Green and Giannis? I mean, on the defensive end, that would just be elite. You would not be able to drive in Draymond Green. Like, they can both switch. You can switch everything if that's on your defense. And then on the offensive end, a pick and roll with Giannis and Steph, just you choose your poison. It would be unstoppable. Not even just a pick and roll, but like a down pin. Like if Draymond Green is at the top of the key where he likes to operate, or in the 3-point line, and Giannis is hitting the down screen for Steph, and then Steph Curry, comes up off of the screen to either shoot a 3, or Giannis is diving. He's rolling to the rim after setting a off ball screen for Steph. And so you cannot double Steph. You cannot blitz him. You cannot take that pass away with Giannis's defender, because if you do that, Giannis will then just drive and get an open, he'll roll to the rim and get an open either dunk, or a help defender will come and then Giannis will kick it out to the weak side and there'll be a wide open shooter there. So I just think that there are so many opportunities on the offensive end. I think the Giannis-Steph relationship on the court would be much better than the Giannis-Damian Lillard, because Damian Lillard has never really played off the ball, where Steph Curry, he can play off the ball. And he has such a gravity that no other player has in the NBA that it would open things up for Giannis. Or Giannis would have gravity and it would open things up for Steph. I think this would be a very, 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 very hard team to defend. And I think if it happened before the trade deadline this year, I think the Warriors could make the conference finals in 2026. I don't think that this would be a next year project. I think they could do it this year. So that's my first trade. I would prefer the Jimmy Butler, Kuminga, Pajemski, keep Draymond Green, keep Giannis, have Kyle Kuzma. Your starting lineup would then be Steph Curry at the 1, probably Giannis at the 5, Draymond Green at the 4, and then you would have Moses Moody still at the 3. You'd probably have Melton at the 2, and that would just be a really good starting lineup and one that teams would not want to face in the playoffs. So that's the first trade between Milwaukee and Golden State. The second trade that I was looking at, and this one had some popularity to it. This one had some hype behind it. I don't know if it was the exact trade players, but the two teams were in conversation, and that is Ja Morant being traded to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero and Hawkes Jr. And I don't know who gets the first round draft pick. I think there would have to be some draft picks transferred in this one. Is Ja Morant at the point in his career where you are adding draft picks to his name to get him somewhere else because he's not playing for you? Now, credit to him. He's had a really solid couple weeks for the Grizzlies, but I think Ja and Tyler here, not Ja and Tyler Hero, Ja and Bam Abayo. I think Ja and Bam would be a great two-man punch. I think Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA currently. I used to, I think I think very highly of Steve Kerr. However, I do think that Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, and he can change his coaching style based off his team. So you bring Ja to Miami. Tyler Hero's been in and out of the rotation for the Miami Heat. And I think that this brings Miami to more relevancy if Ja can turn it around. I would love to know in the comments, do you think it's a franchise thing for Ja, or is this just who he is? Do you think he could get a fresh start and sort of recreate his name on another team? If anybody could do it, it would be Pat Riley and it would be Eric Spoelstra. Now, how would Ja go in Miami? Very different territory than Memphis. I mean, talk about two complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what goes on in those cities. But I think it's best for the NBA to have a superstar talent in Miami. And I do think Tyler Hero, he's at his ceiling. Hawkes is a good role player. And then Memphis, on the Memphis side, you still have Jaren Jackson Jr., so you're still trying to create your identity. Maybe it's time to think about rebuilding through the draft, not tanking, but rebuilding through the draft, getting rid of Desmond Bane, getting rid of Dillon Brooks. Like this team that had so much potential a few years ago, 5 years ago, when they were going toe-to-toe with the Golden State Warriors, when Dillon Brooks hit Gary Payton out of the air, Gary Payton broke his elbow, then firing Taylor Jenkins. We talk about the Sacramento Kings being a poorly run organization. I think Memphis is getting close to that territory. Just the decisions they make baffle me. Maybe they don't have strict enough boundaries for the players. I don't know what's going on in Memphis, but I think it's time for not a restart, but a retool. And that might need to happen in the draft. So the second trade, again, is Ja Morant to Miami for Tyler Hero and Hawkes Jr. Third trade that I want to talk about. Now, this one is just one that I made up. I'm not seeing this anywhere, but I just want you to hear these salaries on the Lakers and try to guess who is making this much money. So we got 18 million, we've got 11 million, and then we got 11 million again. That's still substantial money compared to some of the smaller contracts that's producing more results. So those players are Hachimura, Vanderbilt, and Kleber. You've got $40 million tied up in those three players. So what do the Lakers need? They need another shooter. They need another scorer. I mean, they probably need defense. But when Luka played in Dallas, what was the most effective was he was the offense. He would start. He would take a lot of shots. He would get double teamed, triple teamed, blitz. He would make the right pass. and have shooters that can knock down. It was a make or miss team. If they were making, you could not stop them. If they were missing, they were very beatable, just like any other team. So the player that I was exploring was Michael Porter Jr. to the Los Angeles Lakers. That would be a starting lineup, which would lack a lot of defense. I can see the flaws with this trade. So before you go, John, you don't know what you're talking about. Just run with this one for me. So we got Michael Porter Jr. He would start. You would have Luka, LeBron, MPJ, DeAndre Ayton, and you would find another player to play alongside those guys. Not the worst, maybe it's Gabe Vincent and you put Gabe Vincent at the 1 and Luka at the 2. But one thing's for sure, you would have a lot of scoring on that team. The other thing that is realistic is your defense would probably be the worst in the league. Maybe you could add Ayton into this trade. Ooh, I like that. What if you added Ayton and you traded for Claxton? That gives you a rim protector, somebody that is going to be a defensive anchor, and that's going to add a little bit of grit to your team. I really like that. DeAndre Ayton, add into this trade and bring back Claxton. You might need to get rid of Vanderbilt or something to make the trade work. I don't know the finances, but let's just say you don't. Then I can adjust it here on the trade machine. I'm going to add Nick Claxton. Ooh, he's making $25 million. Ayton is only making $8 million. Can we make this work? Ooh, you add Gabe Vincent and Ayton. You try the trade. It failed. What's wrong? Okay, I got to figure this out. What's the trade? So that means 60 million is going out and 63 is coming in, and it has to be, okay. So I need to find another Lakers player. Jackson Hayes, welcome to the trade. Let's try this trade. Why? What's wrong? Pretty much have the exact amount of salary. I've got 63 million coming into Los Angeles, 63,685,322, and then going out is 63,884,012. Surely you don't have to be bang on to get it. Like, I feel like I am playing 2K right now just to try to make salaries. No, still failed. Maybe I've got to add another cheap player. Brooklyn doesn't have many cheap players. They got some two-way guys, but let's try it now. Nope. All right, that one might be cooked, but the idea is there, where you get rid of all of these overpaid, underperforming players, and you try and get Michael Porter Jr. and Nick Claxton. Let me know in the comments if you think that trade would work. The final trade that I'm going to talk about. So I guess we're doing 4 and not 5. Again, I haven't seen this anywhere. And this brings the question, do you mess with what's working or do you try and make your team better? The Warriors, they in 2015, greatest team ever, didn't win the championship. They messed with it and they got even better by adding Kevin Durant. Now, the player that I'm talking about isn't as good as Kevin Durant. However, I do think that this trade could work. So I've got the New Orleans Pelicans trading Zion Williamson to the Detroit Pistons. So you'd have Duren and you would have Zion in place for Tobias Harris and Jaden Ivey. I think the Pistons have to trade Jaden Ivey. That's too much money to just be sitting on the bench doing nothing. I mean, as a Warriors fan, I know what that's like. You've had Jonathan Kuminga on the bench, but now this is saying that this would make the Detroit Pistons 12 wins worse. And so maybe, that's what ESPN Trade Machine is saying. But that would be fun. You add some more scoring. You add some more ceiling. It's a 3-year contract. Tobias Harris and Jaden Ivey, they're on 1-year deals. Are you going to bring them back? And, is Tobias Harris a $26 million guy? He has made a career of just making the most amount of money for very mediocre performances, right? Tobias Harris is one of those players where you don't know he's on the floor sometimes. He could just be getting his cardio in, going up and down the floor. Apparently, he's a culture guy. He's a locker room guy, but bring Zion into Detroit and add something else. Add some more athleticism, some more pace. So that would be Cade Cunningham, Duren, and Zion, Duncan Robinson. Like, that is a really formidable starting lineup. And that's a starting lineup that I think would be really fun to see over in Detroit. And let's face it, the Pelicans, what is happening? what is happening to the Pelicans? Like, their roster isn't too bad. Jordan Poole. I mean, I would actually, if this Giannis thing isn't going to work out for the Golden State Warriors, I wouldn't mind trying to get Jordan Poole back. Wouldn't mind trading away some of these players. Like, I think Pajemski is who he's going to be. Yes, he takes charges. Yes, he hustles, but he misses way too many layups. He complains to the refs way too much. It is, I mean, if you have Draymond as your mentor, I guess that's why. But man, just get back on defense and stop complaining to the refs. Who do you think you are, Austin Reeves? But I'd love to see Jordan Poole back on the Golden State Warriors just to add that other high energy slasher who can also get super hot and knock down some big threes. He's been in big situations. He's been to the championship. He's won a title with the Warriors. And obviously there's the tension between him and Draymond Green still. But I don't know if it was clickbait, if it was fake news, but there's a story saying that he would do anything he could to get back into Golden State. So grass is not always greener on the other side. Sometimes you have to recognize who you are, what role you actually have. Everybody thinks that they can be the main guy on a team. It's when you can thrive in the role that you've been giving. And for most of the players in the NBA, the role is a role player. Like, there's only a handful of guys that are going to be the guy. And if you can do really good at your role, you're going to create a really long career for yourself. Another team that you hear things, the San Antonio Spurs. What could the Spurs do this year? The thing about the Spurs is they have so much draft capital, and their timeline has been accelerated to now. Like, no longer are you building towards the future. You've got Sohan that could get out of there. You got Devin Vassell that you might want to keep, but you wouldn't mind getting rid of him. But is there anybody in the league? Can you upgrade that point guard position, or even can you upgrade the center position or the power forward position? I'm not saying, who could you put next to Wemby? If you think Anthony Davis is going to ever play well again, is there a world where you can go and get Anthony Davis for 10 cents on the dollar, send some draft capital to a tanking Dallas Mavericks team who, doesn't seem like they really want to keep Anthony Davis around just due to his injuries and whatnot? So if you could get him for not giving up any of your current young assets, finding some expensive players on your team. In fact, let's just have a look really quick. What is the salary situation like? What is the salary situation like for the San Antonio Spurs? ESPN Trade Machine. All right. So I'm just looking here. Let's go team one on this, and I'm going to go the San Antonio Spurs. If I can find them, there they are. All right. So they've got, man, they don't make a lot of money. They got a lot of small contracts, but between Vassell and Harrison Barnes, okay, no, we can make this work. Let me know in the comments if you would do this. So you've got Anthony Davis. He's making $54 million. Nobody wants that contract. He's making that for the next 3 years. All right. But then you've got, let's see, can we do Harrison Barnes, Kelly Olynyk, and Devin Vassell? Is that worth it? Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Kelly Olynyk for Anthony Davis. I haven't watched enough Spurs to know the impact that these players are having. I think Harrison Barnes is a good, you used to would have called him 3 and D, but he's a good guy that can just hit an open shot where he's going to play within the offense and he's going to hit the shot if it's open, or he's going to pass and make the right play if it's not. So the trade again, Anthony Davis for Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and Kelly Olynyk. I'm assuming they'd want a first-round draft pick, but I don't know. I don't know if you do this if you're San Antonio, but those are the trades that I think should happen this year at the NBA trade deadline. Please comment below. What trades would you like to see? Do you agree with any of them? Do you disagree with any of them? And we'll continue to track this together as the trade deadline approaches. Peace.